Hi everyone, welcome back to the second week of CBT lecture. I'll begin with the agendas for today. First of all, I'll talk about CBT evaluation, the very first session that you're going to have with the client. And as part of CBT evaluation, I'm going to briefly touch on suicide assessment because a high percentage of people are seeking treatment because of depression or anxiety or other psychiatric conditions develop suicidal risk. So it's an important component that you will want to incorporate into your evaluation. And then I'll get to the cognitive conceptualization piece, which is really central to CBT treatment and today's lecture. And then I'll summarize what we learned today and then talk about next week. So let's begin with CBT evaluation. So why do we do evaluation session? It's kind of obvious, right? In every kind of therapy, you will do evaluation session, but more specifically for CBT, you're gonna use the information that you gather through evaluation to develop this initial cognitive conceptualization, which we'll talk a little more about later. You'll also want to determine the fit between yourself as therapist and the client. Also determine the dose. Although at this point this is going to be really tentative, you will just generally get a sense of how long the treatment is going to last. Also important for you to note is that this might be the only time that you will ever get to see the client, right? If something really doesn't go well, if your client doesn't really feel connected, they may not come back at all, right? So this is like really one time that you can build relationship with your client and then really, help your clients to feel safe with you. So that's something that you really want to pay attention. Also, in CBT, this is a time when you orient your client to CBT. Again, clients who've been to therapy for years and years, they sort of like come in and sort of, I know this, like, I know what you're doing. But, if you do CBT in a very structured, in a like proper way of doing CBT, that actually might seem a little different to other kind of therapies that your clients might have participated in the past. So you want to briefly orient your client to CBT. You'll also, through doing the evaluation, you will identify problems and set broad goals. And this is really part of the treatment planning. So we have an entire class that's devoted to learning more about the treatment planning process in CBT. So we'll actually get to that. When you have the evaluation session, each agency has their evaluation sheet that you use. So, there might be some specific information that's important for you to gather. But these are sort of generic information that you will need to develop that tentative cognitive conceptualization. So demographics, chief complaints and current problems, history of present illness, and precipitating events. So, your clients might have been in and out of therapy for many, many times, but there's a specific reason why this person is here. They came to see you at this time. So that's what you want to explore with the precipitating events. You also want to gather some histories around like psychiatric history, substance abuse, medical history, family psychiatric, developmental histories, and all this other historical information. They are very important for you to get a sense of the entire picture that they have in terms of the development of their symptoms. While gathering all the information around your client's problems, you also want to gather some information about their strengths and assets so that you can continuously refer back to those things to keep your clients engaged as throughout the entire treatment phases. While you're gathering this information, these are some of the important components that you will want to incorporate into your evaluation. First of all, you will want to develop some sense of what your client's typical day look like. So, you can do it in a more formal way, by using a worksheet. starting from Monday to Sunday, the entire day, sort of writing down what they do. Or you could just informally ask, I just want to get a sense of how your daily life goes. And then you can ask your clients, what time do you typically wake up during the weekdays or the weekend? And as soon as you wake up, like what's the first thing that you do? And then, okay, and then what do you do? And then what do you do? And also get a sense of what your clients do during their free time. So all that information is really important in developing sort of like a sense of the entire picture of what your clients symptoms look like in their daily lives, particularly when your clients might not volunteer to share all that information. This is one way for you to develop that entire picture. Also important is the mood check, and then this actually is something that you will want to kind of make as part of the routine, like a regular session procedure. So we will actually talk a little more about this when we talk about CBT session structure. There are different ways that you can do it depending on your client's developmental level, but we'll revisit this. Also, you want to gather some information around their interaction with families, friends, and colleagues, and their overall functioning across different settings, such as home and work and other settings. And the reason why it's important for you to know this information is that mental health diagnosis is symptom based, not like medical diagnosis that tends to be etiology based, which means that when you provide medical diagnosis, you have pretty good idea of why your clients develop this kind of symptoms. So you come up with a prescription or medical procedures based on your understanding of the etiology or cause for the conditions that your clients have. Mental health diagnosis is not like that. A group of experts, they got together and then they listed all this set of symptoms, and then they said that we're gonna come to this agreement that when your clients present this set of symptoms, we're gonna call it schizophrenia. We're gonna call it depression. So mental health diagnosis is symptom based, and because of that, your clients, although they may have feel really horrible, they might have really dysfunctional thinking. If those set of symptoms don't really create significant impairment in their daily functioning, if they can somehow continue going to work, completing homework, doing everything they're supposed to be doing, then they might not really need therapy. And at that point, you will want to ask, how do you think I can be helpful to you? So this is important information for you to kind of tease out when you gather information. So that was CBT evaluation, and then I'll get to the suicide assessment part. So basically, there are four important areas that you want to assess when you do suicidal assessment. First of all, you will want to ask whether your clients have any thoughts about harming or killing themselves. So suicidal ideation, and if they do have that, how frequent is that? Is it daily, weekly, or hourly? Do they have these thoughts? And then once those thoughts start, how long does that last? And once that thought start, how strong is the thought? Is that to the point of interfering with their daily living? So that's a suicidal ideation that you want to assess. And then next, you want to see whether they actually have plan to carry out their suicidal thoughts. So it's not just thoughts, but they actually have plans. So you will want to ask about timing, location, lethality, availability, and preparation. So you can ask, do you have a plan? And then you can assess whether that plan is sort of general, or if your clients have detailed plan. By asking, how will you do that? Can you describe the method that you thought of? And once you have an idea of your client's plan, you want to assess whether they have access to the means to carry out those plans. Do they have weapons? Do they have sleeping pills in their cabinet? And when are you planning on killing yourself? And have you told anyone about your ideation, intent, or plan? So those are some of the things that you want to assess as a part of assessing suicidal plan. And then you want to ask about their intent. So it's a client's level of motivation, ability to follow through with a suicide plan. So you want to ask, how serious are you about killing yourself? And what's your motivation to kill yourself? On a scale from 1 to 3, how badly do you want to die? And do you have reasons to die? Do you have reasons to live? So by asking these questions, you want to assess how serious your clients are, and also if they have any like resources that they can draw from when they have those thoughts. And then after you assess their intent, you want to ask about their past behaviors. Did they have like past attempts, aborted attempts, or did they rehearse dying or killing themselves by, such as like loading gun, tying noose? So these are the 4 important areas that you want to assess when you do suicidal assessment. I uploaded a lot of additional resources related to suicide, which you can go to get more information if you're interested. But for now, we're actually going to get to the cognitive conceptualization, which is a really central part of a CBT process.